Today's episode of the Energy Newsbeat podcast is brought to you by Enverus. The energy industry faces massive challenges every day, and the events over the last 2 years have caused huge disruptions like never before. Companies in the energy industry need actionable intelligence and a single source of truth that brings all the data together. Enverus is the energy specialized technology partner that provides intelligent connections for a global energy ecosystem. Only Enverus has the analytics, people, experience, and industry scope to connect the right data and information in the right way to discover missed opportunities and deliver fast outcomes. Find out more at Enverus.com. That's ENVERUS.com.
Hello, everybody. Today is just one of my most favorite days, and I get to visit with Keri Brooke. We are sitting here, and she is the CMO of one of my favorite companies, Eneverus. Welcome, Keri. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, welcome to my hotel room in sunny Denver.
Fantastic. And you're not from Denver, are you?
I'm not from Denver. I'm actually British originally. I moved over here for work with a tech company in 2000. And I was just going to stay for a few years, and we're almost at 2023 and I'm still here. So I figured that I must like San Francisco, which is where I moved to.
Oh, how fun.
Yes.
When you just took, I believe, over the CMO and a chief marketing officer, what, 8 months ago?
January 17th, actually. I remember it, the day.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about how that went. How'd you get over here?
I was previously the CMO of Sales Cloud Marketing for Salesforce. And I'd been at Salesforce for 8 years, and I was looking really for a smaller company to kind of get my feet wet back in really being in charge again, being the CMO. And this opportunity came up along with a number of others, and I fell in love with the company. You know, I fell in love with the team. I fell in love with the products and the market, and of course, fell in love with our customers. So moved in January.
How fun. You know, I've known Enverus for a long time, and I've truly, really enjoyed everybody that I've met there. I don't know how your HR department hires all good people. I don't understand. You know,
so, we have good recruiters and good leaders. So we get good people coming in.
You know, some of the things that we've got going on in this crazy world is the energy. And one of the things that I truly love about your new company, Enverus, is when they made the name change from Drilling Info and they had all this, boy, everybody on the planet was trying to go Enverus, and, you know, and I'm from Texas and Oklahoma. We butchered the poor name. You know, what are you doing there?
The Eneverus brand is solid, and that's what we did the rebrand a couple of years ago now, and it was a great rebrand, but you know, quite honestly, that rebrand happened during, first of all, we did a major acquisition, and then secondly, COVID hit. So, you know, we have a company that has grown organically, but also through a large number of acquisitions over the last 5 years. And what we found was that with all of the acquisitions and with COVID and with the final acquisition, it just was really hard getting that brand out, you know, getting that message out about what we did as a whole. So when I came on board, I saw a gap, and we decided to really dig deep into what Enverus does as a whole. You know, rather than the sum of the acquisitions and the sum of the organic growth, we really we asked customers, we asked our executives, we asked partners, and we really dug into, well, what is it to be an Enverus customer?
Well, what was your answer?
Well, after a lot of work, drum roll. So what we realized was that whilst at our core, data was really, you know, was one of our secret sources, and the expertise that we bring was another secret source.
Right.
And then the bringing in of 35,000 suppliers and their data into the organization and into our database that people can share. We've got 5,000 operators. We've got over 300 financial institutions all using our data. And what we realized was every single one of them were making connections.
Right.
And whether they were making connections between data or whether they were making connections between people, with companies, with processes, we found that all roads led to those connections.
Yep.
And coupled with that, you know, a connection is only a dumb connection if it's just a connection. So it has to be a connection that gives you.
I think my wife was around when you said that. She calls me dumb all the time. What was that?
A dumb connection.
Yeah.
I'm sure she doesn't. So what we realized was what the secret sauce that Enverus brought was really the smartness, you know, the intelligence into those connections. Because if you drive intelligence into it, it's almost like, you know, getting a Neapolitan ice cream rather than just a vanilla or a chocolate and a strawberry.
Right.
And that sort of sum of the parts really was what the value that our customers were getting, because of those intelligent connections, they could make better decisions. But more importantly, they closed that gap between all of this amazing data and creating value, both for themselves, for their own businesses, but more importantly, by their end consumers, right? Their end customers. So that's really what the brand came to life. It wasn't a rebrand. It was really just what is the essence of the value that we're bringing?
There's a couple of things, Keri. I love your enthusiasm because you love, I mean, and
I love it.
When you believe in it, it makes it that much more exciting. And it really is pretty darn cool. When you know, and I've interviewed so many really cool people at Enverus. And when you sit back and take a look at your expertise, you have the Burns of the world, you have all of the Sarks, you have such deep pockets. And when you're a client of Enverus, boy, if you need data in the energy space, there's only one Enverus. And
there is only one Enverus.
One Enverus. And you need to make a decision in the energy space. There's only one.
You can't do it. Yes. Yeah.
You're it.
And it's fascinating because, you know, when we looked at when we really looked at the value our customers were getting, and you know, we've come a long way, since the inception of you know, any of the existing companies that now have formed Enverus. What I love is that over those decades, the sum of the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And the reason is, I believe, is that expertise, but more importantly, that expertise across the energy industry, right from power and renewables, with minerals, with traditional oil and gas, midstream, OFS, you know, to name just a few, trading and risk, finance. And so being able to serve so many sub-industries within the energy business is really it's the thing that fascinates me the most. Because before I came in, it was like, oh, the energy industry, this monolithic thing that's out there. And what I realized was we're solving the complexity, not only of the sub-industry, but those organizations who want to look across that, They are responsible for the ecosystem.
Well, you know, you've got it nailed down, because it's all about, we need to use all forms of energy, whether it's renewables, nuclear, oil and gas, and you cannot operate a grid without Enverus, as far as I'm concerned. And, but then again, I said something smart. Wow. But you know, you sit back and kind of go, grid operators like ERCOT and then the other two main grids in the US, there's a lot of data things. Now then think about all the other people funneling in purchase orders. You've got all these other mechanisms that are going on, coordinating all these different things.
Yes.
Enverus acquired a lot of people, but then you've also been taking care of your own integration and your own programmers. It's
Correct.
a tough job.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I came in and apart from the messaging,
Right.
you know, which was my job, apart from the messaging, there is a cohesion across the company. You know, I didn't come in and really, I noticed it because of the complexity, right, of the business
Right.
and the breadth of the business. And that's really hard to grow organically, you know, so I
Right.
knew it was, I could see kind of the history built into that. But as far as the people are concerned and the company is concerned, you know, that I really felt like people were invested across the ecosystem, not just in the stovepipe of where they were acquired from or where we built the
Right.
product. So yeah, I truly believe that not only those connections for our customers, but the
Right.
connections within our own organization are what's imperative as well.
You know, everybody is sitting back and thinking, okay, your brand is solid. And boy, if you're the CMO of a company and your brand stinks, that's bad.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
really bad. No,
so
my predecessor had done an incredible job building that Enverus brand, as I said, from lots of different companies and lots of different
right.
products. And like I said, the brand was so solid. It was just getting to the essence of the message.
Well, so we've determined that if you're in energy space and you need to make a decision, you need data, and there's only one Enverus. So that being said, what are some of your biggest challenges coming up in Q3 and Q4? And then how are we going to really spread the word and the goodness in next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I don't think it's a challenge, but it's definitely something that we take into account. You know, the energy industry is changing across the board, right? And so
Right.
we always have to be ahead of that, right?
Right.
We can't play catch up, because if we're playing catch up, then our customers are basically playing catch up, right?
Right.
So what we're looking at is really trying to understand, like, what are the most important decisions
Right.
that those leaders, right, within those organizations need to make, whether, you know, whether it's engineering or business development
Right.
or land or whomever, right?
Yep.
Those decisions, we have to make sure that we know ahead of time that the different decisions are going to have to be made. And one example is around, instead of asset investment, it's around asset utilization and actually getting the most out of your assets, depending on where you are in your asset life cycle. You know,
Right.
because companies are going to be looking for investment, and those investors are looking for probably different things and different metrics than
Yep.
they have been in the past. And so we have to be ahead of that and be able to provide solutions that are going to help those decision makers in the future, and not just what's going on right this minute. And so I think that it's a challenge, but it's also our greatest opportunity for this year and going into next year is really being ahead of our customers in terms of what decisions we see on the horizon. And I will say, you know, having the intelligence team at Enverus, you know, there's way bigger brains than mine that are really help us in marketing. You know, they know more about the industry than I ever will. And so it's kind of like using all of our resources to really make sure that we're ahead of the game so our customers can be as well.
Well, you know, we kind of mentioned a few names, but you have folks like Andrew Dittmar with going out and trying to work with M&A, and then you have all the folks up in Canada and everything else.
Yeah,
They're phenomenal.
they
And
are
especially
phenomenal.
if you're trying to sit down and hit a number for M&A, you'd mentioned that M&A and going through and taking a look at that. That's a gigantic impact in the oil and gas space,
Correct.
as well as some of these others. That's not a small time little task. You got to be
Correct.
accurate.
Correct. And it's the M&A, but it's also, you know, the pure investment, like just organic growth, right? For these organizations. And, you know, the operational decisions are actually getting more important than the asset decision.
Now, why do you say that? I agree with you.
Well, because again, you know, organizations are really trying to take the assets that they have and get the most out of them from a profit perspective. And that's why, you know, you can use the analytics and all of the data, but then from an operational perspective and from a process perspective, using our business automation tools with all that, as I said, 35,000 suppliers that you have benchmark data on. You know, it's incredible the amount of efficiency that you can drive into a process when you have all of that data. So it's really like making those operational decisions and then making sure that the business that you're running is the most efficient that you can.
You know, with the change in what's going on in the geopolitical stuff around the world, nuclear is now coming back around in fashion. And if you're going to build a nuclear plant, you would want your inventory control and your business automation, because you guys can nail it down to a screw,
a widget. Nut. Yes. I mean,
that is so cool.
And actually, fun fact, I actually started my career in finance. So I worked for two very large manufacturing companies in Europe, Unilever and Novartis. And, you know, finance are my peeps from way back when. And so when I start to look at not just the analytics side, because I've worked in analytics probably most of my career after I was in finance, like just understanding, you know, that the finance processes it's fascinating to me. I was just at our business automation event last week? My gosh, the weeks. Last week. And, you know, I was walking around and having dinner with customers, and they were all like finance people and supply chain folks. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. You know, this is really driving those decisions that, and again, it's like, it's right across every organization. It's like all the constituents have something that's going to help them make those decisions.
Well, you know, the supply chain problems we've had, Keri, have been just brutal. And the Enverus supply chain management and everything else in there saves money. And I'm over here selling to you. I mean,
I love it. I'll buy.
But you know, it makes a difference on the bottom line, because in the oil and gas space, my experience, I was dead meat without change orders. And if you can't track what you're, man, I would be in trouble if the change order paperwork wasn't there. Yeah. Holy smokes. How about automating it?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, again, when you're really looking at your bottom line, and your investors are actually not just looking at traditional growth rates, right? Or production rates, when these investors are actually looking at not just growth rates, but also, you know, the bottom line, then that's a very different set of analysis that you need to do. And it's a different set of decisions that you need to make, that, you know, write down the P&L in order to make your business a better investment for someone.
And, you know, I just, when you sit back and take a look, people need all the help they can get anymore to make money. I mean, it's getting tougher.
It's hard to make money.
You got to make money. And there's very few companies that have across all platforms against renewables. You know, you mentioned anything to do with energy, and you guys are there. In fact, it just surprises me every time. It's like whack-a-mole. You know, all of a sudden you're sitting here talking about something, and Enverus has a product, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. So,
I'm still discovering them. Even 8 months in, I've actually been in a roadmap meeting with our sales organization and our product organization with my organization, and I tell you, I learn something new every single day about what our offerings are. It's incredible. And that's one of the things I love too. You know, it's there is an opportunity to learn every day in the energy industry. And there's no way, in 2 decades, I won't even get to where some of the folks are in the company. But it's such a joy to see that portfolio and really see it come to life as well.
So what are your goals as CMO? We talked a little bit about right now, you're already got everything rolling in for next year, but what are your goals?
Yeah, so I'm a pretty simple goal setter. I try and focus, I always think that if you have 9 goals, you're probably not going to achieve any. Like if you've got 3 or 4 goals, you can focus, right? Because if you got 9, I'm like, I can't even get up and do 9 things like all at once. So I try and keep it really simple. And these are principles that I've brought, with me throughout my whole career. And I think of things in 3, sometimes 4 buckets. So first of all, the team. So
Okay.
what does my team need to look like, aspire to, have fun with, be engaged with? How do I get an engaged marketing team? Because, we work pretty darn hard and we ask
Yes.
a lot. And I want the best people, and I want them to be even better than when they joined me. And I have always said, I don't own your promotion, I own your career. And if you
Right.
work for me,
I like that.
you will work for me. I will help you with your career for the rest of your career, even if you don't work for me. And
Wow.
so from a team perspective, that's always sort of been my guiding force, is to have like that fully engaged and diverse team. So that's one. One is the team. The second thing is really around our customers. So and I always debate on order matters to me. So if you have a list of things, what's the most important? So these are hard ones to choose between. But the customers, obviously, I want us as an as a whole company, but really my team, to be like customer fanatics. Like I want them to be fanatical about our customers.
Right.
And one of the things that we've not done a lot of compared to someone like Salesforce is have our customers speak our story. We do at events, right? Like you'll see a lot of customer presentations, but that is for me, like that is the highest potential of what we can do. Now we've got this message, right? It's like, I don't want to keep telling people the message. Like it's boring if I say it, right? I'm not in the trenches, right? And so it's really trying to create, or not trying, creating this group of customers who tell their stories.
Right.
And from an individual perspective too, is I care a lot about the impact on the business of what we've done, but I also care about the impact on the individual in that organization, because what you see is careers can change in a good way, right? Good decisions mean like getting higher up in their organization. So customers is definitely a huge focus area for us. We're really wanting to create like a sense of community around our customers. We want to give them more opportunities to talk to each other and not talk to us. So that's really the second thing. And then the third pillar, if you like, is growth. So for me, and I think it's my finance background, but I am always, if it doesn't get $1 of revenue, then we have to ask ourselves why we're doing it. Now, the link between revenue and what we do might be long. It might be something from an awareness perspective or from a brand perspective, which doesn't necessarily create $1 of revenue in the current quarter or even the next quarter. But everything that we do has to really drive towards the growth of the business. So we are all focused on the numbers. Again, it's my finance background. I basically need everyone in my team to be fanatical about the data, our data, not just data in general. And I think if we do that and we
Right.
all know what we're doing and the impact it has, then that has a significant effect on the business.
You know,
And
Keri,
then
I'm seeing a pattern here with you. You got to be fanatical. You got to be fanatical about your clients. You got
yes,
to be
fanatical
fanatical
about data.
Okay, so every morning, do you wake up and go, I'm going to be fanatical today?
I actually wake up and I think about customers and I think about the team and I think about like how we're doing on pipe and revenue. I'm not kidding you. Like literally, those are the three things that I not worry about, but the things that I focus on.
How
And then the
fun.
fourth one is really, and I find this in different stages in companies. Sometimes it's like part of other goals, but one of the things that I really am focused on as well is operational excellence for ourselves,
Nice.
right? Because and I don't want process for process's sake, right? Like I am not one to put 1,000 racy models in order to figure out how to
Right.
make $1 in pipe or $1 in revenue. But what we have to do is, in order to scale the business, marketing has to be at the forefront of efficiency. Like
Right.
we in order to make $1 more of revenue, we can't spend $1 more of marketing dollars.
Right.
Duh, right, obviously. But how do we do that at scale, right? And that's the
Right.
other thing is, you know, we want to scale this business. We're a $500 million business. I want to be $1 billion business. I think that that's a completely doable, reachable goal.
Yes.
But we need to have tech in place. We need to have processes in place. We need
Right.
to have the people in place in
And
order to really
accountability.
scale that out. So
You
those are
bet.
my four.
I love it. I'll tell you, having a CMO behind your name there and having you said, I can't do 9 things. You already named 30 in this conversation that you're focused on.
Yeah, but they
So-
all roll up to those 3 goals, right? I mean, that's why the 3 goals works, because I'm not doing 9 random things every day. Like I'm doing
I
3
love it.
things. So
You
yeah.
are absolutely a hoot because you said, I can't do 9, and you kind of backfilled it through your finance background there.
Yeah,
I only focus on 3, but here's the other thing feeding up into those.
feeding
3.
into them. Yeah. It's
I
all
love that.
it's all for a reason.
Well, you know what, Keri, this is my first time getting to talk with you, and I hope it's not my last because
It will
I
not
had
be.
an absolute blast. And I'd like to just give you a shout out for being a sponsor of my podcast here. So, you know, we love Enverus and we're just so looking forward to it. And our other fellow travelers with you, you know, we've got David Blackman over there, and then we
Yeah.
also have Mark LaCour and Paige.
Yes.
We love all of them running down this road with you. So thank
I
you.
love it. I love it.
So we will see you next time.
We will. Not a long time away, I hope. Let's do this
Well,
again
we
soon.
also want to do some live events with you too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so looking forward to it.
That sounds fabulous.
All right, Stu.